Welcome back. For today's video, we've just recently got out the approval numbers of sitting senators. These are for the Q3 of 2019 from the Morning Consult. Some really interesting data to look over. And in this video, I want to focus on 2020 Democratic presidential hopefuls that are current senators and how their approval numbers are looking. So there's actually quite a few Democratic senators that are running to try to get that nomination. There's 6 of them going to be touching on their approval numbers from their home state in this video, and these 6 individuals would be Kamala Harris, Michael Bennet, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, Cory Booker, and Bernie Sanders, and we're going to go in alphabetical order by the state that these individuals are senators from. So first we're going to start off in California, and then I'm also going to take a look at how these respective individuals are doing to their counterpart in the Senate from the same state. So taking a look at Kamala Harris, the state of California, 43% approval, 35% disapproval, so only being positive 8 points to the approval side in one of the more left-leaning states in all of the country out there in California. Not the greatest look necessarily from Kamala Harris. She is doing slightly better than Dianne Feinstein in terms of her overall positive to the approval of 8 points compared to Feinstein, who's only positive 5 points. But Feinstein, one of the most conservative Democrats in the Senate, and had a tough time in her re-election bid back in 2018, a competitive race against another Democrat in that instance, but not necessarily the kind of numbers that Harris would probably want to see out of her home state of California, just to the positive 8 points. And there's actually a number of candidates on this list that I'm surprised that their numbers aren't a little bit better than what they're showing, especially with a number of these Democrats being in Democratic majority states or more left-leaning states that they're coming from, where you'd expect a Democratic senator to perhaps have some better approval numbers. So now going down and taking a look at the state of Colorado. Colorado, one of the few states here that has a Democratic and Republican senator. That could very well change here in 2020. We see Michael Bennet. Again, not completely outstanding numbers by any means. He's 40% to the approval, 33% disapproval, but doing better than his Republican counterpart in the Senate from the state of Colorado, with Cory Gardner at 36% approval to 39% disapproval, so a negative 3-point difference there from Gardner from Colorado. So you can see Bennet, the Democrat from the state, doing a bit better, but still, Bennet probably would like to have his numbers a little bit stronger than this, just positive 7 points to the approval. Now going down, and this might have been my biggest surprise out of all these individuals that we're going to be looking at, and that's Massachusetts with Elizabeth Warren, where her disapproval numbers in her home state are very high, 41% disapproval, 49% approval, so positive 8 points to the approval side for Warren, but just really high disapproval numbers when we take a look at the scope of all of these senators from their home state. Warren is one of the higher ones in terms of overall total disapproval. We compare that to the other Democratic senator from Massachusetts, Ed Markey, doing quite a bit better at 51% approval compared to just 25% who disapprove. And Ed Markey, he's going to have a fascinating scenario in 2020 where he's getting challenged by Joe Kennedy. And that's a challenge from the right in terms of their overall ideology. So going to be a fascinating primary in that Democratic seat. We'll see if the incumbent is able to keep it or not. But positive sign here for Markey is he's positive 26 points. Elizabeth Warren not doing quite as well. For whatever reason, Warren's numbers, just in terms of her approval, disapproval in the state of Massachusetts, haven't been all that great in recent years. And we're seeing that continue to be the case in this one with that relatively high 41% on the disapproval side, but again, still positive 8 points overall to the approval. And it seems like nationally, more people like Warren in the Democratic Party than from her home state of Massachusetts for whichever reason. Now looking at Minnesota, and really strong numbers here from Amy Klobuchar. However, the love that she has in her home state of Minnesota isn't translating nationally, kind of a reverse effect of what we're getting from Elizabeth Warren, where Klobuchar is 55% approval compared to 32% disapproval. So some really strong numbers there. But like I said, for Klobuchar, even though she's very well approved of in a key Midwestern state like Minnesota, that just hasn't been able to translate for her nationally. And I feel like she's taking the more conservative lane in this Democratic primary, and that's just a tough path to go, especially in the year 2020 when you're trying to generate a lot of excitement, grassroots support behind your candidacy, just saying, well, we're going to do little changes here and there, more of a status quo type candidate. I just don't think that's the path forward to have success in a presidential primary. Maybe that works more as a senator, and we're seeing pretty strong numbers for her in terms of her approval in the state of Minnesota. Just 2 left. Next one we have here is New Jersey with Cory Booker. And Cory Booker, again, probably not as good as he'd like to be doing in New Jersey, but still better than some of these other candidates that we're seeing. But positive 10 to the approval, 46% approve, 36% disapprove, and he's doing much better than the other Democratic senator from the state of New Jersey. Bob Menendez actually just won his re-election bid, and by a decent majority there in 2018, but still Menendez is one of the worst overall in terms of net to the negative disapproval, so 34% approve, 43% disapprove in that instance. So Booker doing quite a bit better than Menendez in the state of New Jersey, and those are his numbers that we're taking a look at. Now, just one more to take a look at here, and it is Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, and he has the highest approval numbers of any of the 100 senators, and we see that here with 65% of the independent for Vermont. Bernie Sanders, 65% approve compared to 30% who disapprove, and like I said, the highest total overall to the approval in the state where he is a senator from, and that's obviously a positive sign for Bernie Sanders. Also, the other Democratic senator in Vermont, Patrick Leahy, also very overall positive numbers from him as well. But the independent senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, doing very well and continues to be the most approved of senator. It seems like we get this quarter after quarter where Sanders is right there at the top of the list with that highest number of overall approval from his home state. So those are the 6 senators that I wanted to take a look at that are running in this 2020 presidential primary on the Democrats' side. It's interesting to look at these kind of numbers to see how these presidential hopefuls are doing in their respective home states in terms of approval, disapproval. I hope you found it interesting. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you guys back here for my next video.